So, first of all, like I said, I've been here before. I've had crew members here before. And what I'm looking for on this roof is wear and tear and damage. And to be honest with you, if you're just looking at the shingles, they're not very straight. Manufacturing companies don't really do a very good job in running shingles straight. I do not like this shingle at all. I don't like the shingles. They're a very low wind resistant shingle, and these shingles, as you can tell, and I'm barely pulling on that, are starting to come loose on the corners, and even the whole tab in some cases. So I don't ever try to lift them up. You don't want to be able to do that to your shingle. You also don't want to come up here and run a bead of caulking over there and stick it down. If you ever do have a loose tab and you want to make sure that it's sealed down for a storm, you put a little dime-sized dab right there and a dime-sized dab right there, maybe one right there in the middle. So it's 3 dabs, and push your shingle into it. Okay, so don't ever just go up here and run a line across here, because what happens is water will get in here, it won't be able to come out. And if you have a seam where the shingles join together, like right there, the water will just go into the seam and you'll just create a leak. So never do that. Just dabs, dab, dab, dab. I think she said these shingles are, don't remember exactly how old, but we do have little fish eye. You can look at that and tell that it's been going on for probably since day one. Let's take a look at this side. This side has a tab missing over here. Of course, we've been replacing shingles here and there throughout the whole time of this roof. This one here, you can tell, has been bent up in the wind and will end up coming off soon, and so will that one. So you do have some issues as far as the tabs being broken, so shingles need to be replaced. This pipe boot is probably not sealed anymore, and there's a missing shingle. These little bathroom vents they put on these single wides, I'm not a big fan of these things personally. This is what they call a slant back, and this is made of plastic. The ones that I use are made of aluminum, and we call them slant backs or 750 vents. And over time, these plastic ones tend to do this in the front. They just start bowing up, and then next thing you know, if you have wind, and we're in the 110 mile an hour wind zone blowing back that way, 110 miles an hour, you're probably going to have shingles blowing off your house. For that matter, 50 miles an hour would probably do it. So it's really time to have these vents all replaced, because they're all doing exactly the same thing. Not to mention, this was actually never done properly. They should have never ran the shingles so far up that vent to where it caused this right here. See, so this is a loose tab. That's not stuff you want to have on your roof around here. You really need the architectural shingle, in my opinion. Like I said, all the fronts here are bubbling up. Wind blows up underneath that. Rain will go this way. And like I said, the tabs are starting to get pretty loose in some areas on this roof. I think if it was my roof and I lived just a couple miles from the beach, look at these tabs. They're just not tight. And so every time she gets a small windstorm now, the shingles blow off, because it's just this is the lowest grade shingle you can buy. And as you can see, I'm not doing anything to make that shingle loose. It's just loose on its own. And that's not what you want on a roof. If this is my roof, I'm replacing it 100%. I'm replacing it as soon as I can. I don't know why they put ridge vent on here. I just can't imagine that this ridge vent came on this house. I don't understand it, to be honest with you. Normally, a low pitch roof like this will not have ridge vent on it, especially if it's shingles. You can see where there's been a repair here done. She said over that back door, which is where she's had issues before was right here over this window. These shingles are wore out. I mean, they're just wore out and they're ready to just blow off. Every time there's a storm, I promise you, the shingle's thin, there's not many rocks left on it. This roof needs to be replaced. In my professional opinion, I'm gonna say professional opinion because I've been doing this for over 30 years. That's an issue. All right, this right here is an issue always. Look at that. When they ran these boots to start with, you never want to run your shingles up the back of that boot because water comes back down here and it just ends up in your roof. So unless that's really sealed like crazy, that's what's going to happen. Not to mention, without a channel around here for this stuff to get out, it's just going to pile up. And the more of this you have on your roof, I mean, look at that. This stuff is going under the shingles. And that's a major, major problem, to be honest with you, because what does pine straw do when it gets wet? It just stays wet. And I'll bet you this shingle's loose, and it is. See, look at that. This roof would have to be replaced if it was mine. It's time. I don't want this lady to spend money she doesn't have to spend, but I don't want her to have to spend a whole lot more money later on when her roof blows off or she gets major leaks and major problems. You can see the ridge has already been removed. And whoever did it originally, I guess, look at this. Look how tight they made that. Which, to be honest with you, with this high wind we have right here, I don't even know if I would mind that, but that is every 3 inches. Generally, they're going to be every 5. These are some repairs. These are the new boots. Here's the slant back 750. And you can still see that water could sit here, but you can see how sealed that is. That's completely sealed. No water's going back behind that shingles ever. And they're not running up the vent. As you can see, there's been shingles replaced here. And when we replace these shingles, we always make sure that they're glued back down. And they are. But these, they're old. They're wore out. This is a major problem, and you can't just come up here and put a nail in that thing and expect that to do it, or you can't come up here and just put caulking around that and expect that to do it. You can see how badly the shingles are lifted up because of that big lip. See that lip right there? That lip goes all the way around this thing, which creates a lift on your shingles. And I realized that what it is for is so that when water gets back here, it's not supposed to be able to come back out over that and get into the roof. But it sure does lift up your shingles hard. And obviously she's had leaks around these things throughout the years because of all the caulking. You can just tell that something's been going on. So this is a job that I would look at and say, I really think it's time to put a roof on it. I mean, you might have a year or 2 left on it, but you're at the beach and your shingles are starting to get loose. You do not want loose shingles on your roof. You don't want any loose shingles, because every time it rains, you're gonna, every time the wind blows, you're gonna lose tabs. Tabs are gonna fly off. Tabs are gonna just fly off, and they're not all unstuck, but there's a good amount of them that are. You can just reach down and find one, and they're just everywhere. Especially up around these pipes for some reason. I'm not sure. This one's been repaired at some time or another, but you don't want that kind of stuff right there on your roof. I mean, the wind is blowing pretty good right now today, and like I say, this is a beach, 110-mile-an-hour wind zone. This needs to be repaired. These all need to be repaired. They're about to blow off the house. They're bent. You can tell how they have bent so many times. That one too, I'm sure it's bent. You can just see where it's been bent. You can see where the shingles are just worn basically all the way down to the fiberglass, and the granules are missing. Normal shingle would look like that with all the granules. Hers are getting down to the point where you can see the felt underneath the granules. And that's pretty much happening everywhere. And when that starts happening, it's time to get a roof, in my personal, professional opinion.